going to move on and talk a little bit about the process for the MTS and MDiv, and we're going to start first with domestic students. So we offer both merit-based and need-based institutional grant support. We, as of last year, we separated the two. We used to have one program that you had to have the need-based eligibility in order to qualify for the merit. And what we decided to do was split the two programs. So we have a small, fairly small merit-based program. Approximately 20% of the incoming class will be offered a merit award. The other pool, the large pool that we draw from, is the need-based institutional grant support. And we recommend highly that you apply for the need-based aid, even if you're hoping to get the merit-based consideration. You would either receive the merit component or the need-based component. You would not receive a combination of the both. Merit decisions are made by the admissions committee. They do not require a financial aid application, but we strongly recommend that every student apply for the need-based anyway, because in the event that you don't get considered for the merit, and again, it's a very small pool for the merit, you want to know that you're already in the running to be considered for the need-based. If you wait until you get accepted, and I cannot tell you how many students did this last year, we had a number of students who called up and said, I didn't actually think you would accept me, so I didn't apply for financial aid, but now I want to apply for financial aid. And at that point, it can often be too late. We were able to take a wait list last year, but we had an enormous amount of students that didn't find out if they were going to get any grant assistance until, in some cases, after they had to accept their spot in the class. We don't recommend that. That will panic you. Don't do that. So apply for both. Even if you think, I'm not necessarily sure I would qualify for the need-based, apply anyway. Because you never know what's going to happen. I think it's always a good idea just to be prepared. And we also recommend highly that you pay attention to deadlines. Like Lloyd has said, we cannot stress it enough. It's not a suggestion, it's a way of life. It's really important because we do have a limited pool of funding, and we do want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to apply for this. So not only just here at HCS, but know your deadlines at every school you're contemplating applying to. Know the policies, know the deadlines, know if there's two separate applications, know what's expected of you, and meet those deadlines. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in a situation where either you're going to have to try to get on a wait list for funding, or you might not be able to receive funding at all. So it's really important that you're on top of what you need to do and when you need to do it by. So for our students applying for the merit-based, we don't require an application. If you get the merit component, it's based on the strength of your application, and that's a decision that the admissions committee makes. The need-based, you would have to apply for the FAFSA, which is your free application for federal student aid. I'm sure many of you are aware of that, familiar with it, love it, hate it, but know what you're supposed to do with it. If you've never done a FAFSA, you don't know what a FAFSA is, please come and talk to Julie and I. We're happy to go into more details about it. But that allows us, in conjunction with the institutional application for financial aid, to determine your eligibility for need-based funding. The deadline for both the FAFSA and the HCS institutional application are February 3rd, 2014. That's a hard deadline, so please make sure that you're on top of that. In order to fill out the FAFSA, you have to be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen. And if a student is in default of a previous Title IV student loan, you would be ineligible to receive both federal and institutional aid. If you are currently in default of a loan and you're working on getting that rectified, please have a conversation with Julie and I about how we would go about proceeding with that situation. Continuing on, the FAFSA, again, can't be filled out until at least January 1st of 2014. And you should use estimates of your 2013 taxes if you have not completed them by then. If you know you're going to do your taxes in the middle of January or the very end of February, the end of January, we would recommend that you wait to fill out the FAFSA until you do that, but make sure that you meet the February 3rd deadline. Don't assume that you shouldn't fill it out because you haven't done your taxes. Just use your best estimates from your W-2s, and then you'll go back and update the information once you finally finalize your taxes. If you're applying to HDS, you want to make sure that you choose our school code, which is E00210. This is also on our website, so if you can't remember it, you'll be able to find that information. If you use the generic Harvard University code, your FAFSA will never make its way to us, so you just want to make sure that you're choosing Harvard Divinity School specifically. The HDS institutional application will be available in mid to late December. Students will receive an email from the financial aid office after they've submitted their application for admissions. So you have to submit your admissions application first, and then after the application is ready in mid-December, we're going to send you an email within a few days telling you how to log on to our institutional application, and it's an online form. It's fairly simple. It should take you probably no more than 10 to 15 minutes to fill out. And it's always a good idea to keep copies of your taxes, your W-2s, and your year-end investment statements in case we have questions for you later on. We don't request those forms up front, but there is a process, a random process by the Department of Education called verification, where a student may be asked to provide those documents. So you want to know where they are and how to get your hands on them if we do ask you to provide them. If you're an international master's student, you do not have to fill out, you're not eligible to fill out the FAFSA, but you're certainly eligible for the institutional grant support. And you would fill out the HDS institutional application, which I just described. And again, the deadline for that is February 3rd, 2014. Is anyone applying to the THM program? Okay, so the THM program is the one master's program that we do not fund with grant support. If a student is a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, they're welcome to apply for federal aid, but we don't provide grant assistance for that particular program.